That concludes the business portion of our meeting. And so now let's find out the answer to the biggest question of the day, which is, why is Elle Benson so happy? So she gets that question a lot. Elle has spent years studying the science of happiness and conducts national research on the power of novelty. Also contributing to her joy is her engagement in the nonprofit sector, where she founded Nonprofit Leadership LLC to help organizations make a greater impact. So thanks to our event sponsors today, Discovery Natural Resources, Enduring Resources, and Kodiak Gas Services, we have Elle Benson joining us today as today's keynote. Please give a warm welcome via chat to Elle. So shoot those claps up in the chat.
Hi, everyone. Well, let's get a pulse check here. I want to know in the chat, how happy are you today? On a scale 1 to 10, what are we feeling right now? Go ahead and shoot that in there. We'll see where we're working. A 7, okay. 6.5, 9, 8, meh, 6, right? 7, 9, yeah. Oh, I love this. Okay, we're over the halfway mark for a lot of individuals. And let me say this, like, I am the happiness expert. I have all of the research and knowledge on how to be happy, and I'm not happy all the time. It is not possible to be happy all the time because life is going to throw things at us. But what's great is to know, how do we bounce back and how do we engage? So I can't wait to share with you some of the research that I've obtained and some of the research that I've engaged with. So I've got a fun presentation for you. Okay, thumbs up if you're seeing it. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm Elle Benson. I am a nonprofit capacity builder. What that means is I come into nonprofit organizations and help them identify from a full landscape scope of where we have capacity, technology, knowledge, skills, individuals, finances, and where we don't have capacity. So we know, how do we grow and scale by building capacity in a variety of ways. I'm an author and keynote speaker here with you today, honored to be with this incredible group. I'm a gym membership collector. I have 3 gym memberships. I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. I love it, but this is life. This is time. Things happen, but I do love my gym membership collection. So I'm going to keep that like a trophy. I am a terrible singer. My family will attest. Right now, it's wicked Defying Gravity in the car at full blast. In my car, I hit all the notes. And lastly, and most importantly, what I think contributes to our conversation today is I'm a happiness expert. Did you know that was a thing? I usually leave that last because I get the look where people go, oh, that's cute, or that's interesting, or you're the only one I've ever met that is a happiness researcher. Now, I never thought or knew that I would become a happiness researcher. But as I work in the nonprofit sector and wanted to help my organizations grow and scale for community impact and the intention of changing communities, I learned about positive psychology and the power and the science that exists on what makes people happy. This was all falling aligned with my early 20s. The joy that was your early 20s when you had leisure time. Those of you may be in it right now, and it is such a joy. Take advantage of this leisure time. So in my early 20s, in my leisure time, that was such a blessing. I had this book club. And it's kind of funny to call it a book club because it was more of a wine club. I didn't read the books, but I had wanted to curate a group of women, this dynamic, almost like mastermind group of, they say, you are who you surround yourself with. And I heard that and it's like, okay, I want to level up. I'm going to curate this group of women who are kind, smart, and beautiful. Because if I'm around them, I will obviously become more kind, smart, and beautiful. Like, that's how that works, right? And so I had this dynamic group of women who were successful, and I admired the things they were doing and contributing to the community and in their careers. And I looked forward to our Wednesday meeting until I didn't. I sat there feeling odd and different from the rest of the group. Our book clubs had become more of a wine club, WHINE, And this group of women were actually draining me. And there was a common phrase that I would hear again and again, and it hurt my heart, because these women would say, "I'll be happy when," every week. And it felt like it was contagious, and the others had to share, "Oh, well, then I'll be happy when I get this." And they'd end that sentence with circumstances. "I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when I get that new job, when I get the new house, the new car, the baby, the lose 15 pounds. I'll be happy when." And I was distraught. I thought these women were incredibly successful, and I wanted what appeared that they had on the outside. I was like, how am I different? What is wrong here? So I had that reality check. And luckily at this time, I started looking into the science of happiness and finding out more and more of what makes people happy. I did my MBA in organizational change and leadership and earned my first certification in the science of happiness. Now, every year there is an international happiness report that comes out, and I wait on pins and needles to see, has the United States moved up in happiness? I do need to lower my expectations, because every year I come over that report and the answers are bleak. We continue as a country to move lower and lower in our happiness levels. In 2025, we sit lower in happiness than in 2020. We are in a happiness crisis. Now, you still might be thinking, like, happiness, like, that's cute, right? Like, why should we strive to be happy? And let me share with you some of the benefits of happiness. I want everything listed on this page. I want more energy. I want a better immune system, lower stress, longer life, creativity, self-regulation, social rewards, more friends. I want all of this. And I can imagine you do too. These will allow us to have a stronger impact in our communities, our careers, and with our families if we have these things. And my favorite, absolute favorite benefit of happiness, it is contagious. That's right, it's contagious. The energy around those that we spend time with is contagious. So my book club was a negative energy, and it became contagious in sharing of that negativity. But also, when I work on my happiness, those in my home, my workplace, and my community become happier. And also, when we look at these benefits, it's like, oh, they're getting healthier as well. This is incredible. I'm going to share with you a mini certification in the science of happiness. And to do that, I have Dr. Sonia Libranierski out of the University of California, Redwood. I fangirl over her. She is incredible. She was one of the largest contributors to the body of research of positive psychology, and one of the only women at that level. So I love everything she's doing. She has an incredible TED Talk. Her book, The How of Happiness and the Why of Happiness, changed my life. Put it on your to-read list. She helped define this equation: happiness equals reality minus expectations. And I never thought a math equation would change my life, but here we are. Happiness equals reality minus expectations. So I shared with you, I'm not always happy. That's nearly impossible to sustain a level 10 joy all the time. I strive for it. I think that would be a really cool goal. But anytime I'm not feeling joyful, I check this equation. And the only thing I have power and control of, my expectations. As much as I try and shape and mold reality, and I do, I'm an over planner, highly ambitious, competitive person. So I'm going to try and change reality to the best of my ability. But the expectations is really the differentiator in our happiness levels. And people find this a little strange and off-brand for me to say, lower your expectations. They're like, Elle, is this you? You're telling me to lower your expectations. And I am. I want you to create realistic expectations and lower the bar so that you can feel more joy. And so I look at my leadership style, and I've developed my leadership style year after year, employee after employee, as you get better and you hopefully learn from mistakes. And I've absolutely learned that in my early leadership years, my expectations were too high with the teams. And I'm like, why are we not firing on all cylinders? And why aren't they performing? And why am I having employees quit on me? What's happening here? And I got great feedback saying your expectations are unrealistic. You're never going to be happy with my performance. And I look at that and I think that's right. I wasn't. I had expected things that weren't realistic. And also, in many cases, when I dive deeper and tell me what's going on here, if an employee wasn't performing, I'd say, let's talk about this. And it was, in many cases, I didn't communicate my expectations. Right? Anyone else here? You're like, okay, I give an assignment, but I don't wrap around, as Brene Brown would say, paint done. What does success and clarity look like at the end? And so I want you to evaluate this equation. And what does this look like in your life? Are you setting unrealistic expectations of your performance? As women, they say you can do it all. But I'm going to kick back and say, but should you? Should you do it all just because we can? There is power in reducing our expectations of others and ourselves, and this beautiful word called no. I teach 6-hour workshops on this concept, and I really encourage specifically women to set boundaries around what brings you joy and what brings you happiness. And a lot of times that's centered around, I'm going to communicate this expectation around what I'm able to do, what I'm capable of, and where I and won't spend my energy and my time. So in the chat, how's this resonating with anyone? Is anyone plagued with, I set expectations too high? Because I was very guilty of it. I'm recovering from it. Anyone else? Yes. Thanks, Claire. Yes. Don't leave. Yep. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah. I mean, being here today, I can tell that you are ambitious women who have professional careers who want to do more. But there is beauty in setting back and saying, okay, I'm fine with what I have, creating a gratitude mindset and redefining expectations. And so I'm not saying anyone shouldn't be ambitious, but when you reduce those expectations of what can be obtained, we're more joyful and it's fun. Okay, continuing on with our certification in the science of happiness, Sonia Libranirsky was able to quantify the levels of happiness we obtain during certain events and courses of life and to what degree. So this is the average person's happiness. We call this our baseline happiness. So this might have been us before you came into the session today. Like this was your line. It's this purple line right here. Now, what you're going to see with our blue line, these are the ups and downs of life. These are just hypothetical, a job layoff, car accident, divorce, election results, marriage, baby, new house, just randomize. They don't happen in this order, although they sometimes do. What I want you to note from this graph is that we always return to our baseline happiness, no matter what. We think, and what my book club would say is, I'll be happy when I get married. Well, we know statistically, it's not sustainable. The average happiness for marriage is 2 years. I try not to tell people that when I go to their wedding, but you will be joyful. Enjoy this and revel in this delight that is now, because those who are married, it's not sustainable forever. People say, I'll be happy when I have the baby. I'm like, you're also going to be really tired. I have 2 kids. I love them. It's not the answer to happiness. But what also, and I think is most important, I work with a lot of social service agencies, is that the negatives in life, they don't hurt as bad as we think they will. And we always bounce back. And sometimes when we have post-traumatic growth disorder, the opposite of PTSD is our baseline comes higher, where we have a different growth mindset based on traumatic events happening, but we bounce back. So here's where we need to dig in deeper. The pink line that I'm showing here, this is what we expect of happiness. So we expect more happiness from marriage, baby, and new house. The pink line, those are our expectations. But we also have outsized anxiety about something negative happening. When we think, oh, if that were to happen. I've been there. I thought, okay, if I move to a new city and have to start my career over and my social capital, that would be horrific. Losing a loved one, how would I manage without them? We do it, and it's not as bad, and we bounce back quicker than we think. Fascinating, right? I'm going through this and everything's a case study for me. Trying to really apply what is the practical advice that I can integrate into my work. And I had this staff member that was not a stellar staff member. And maybe my expectations were misaligned, but I really even think with reducing expectations, we weren't quite hitting the mark. With this staff member, they'd asked for a raise, a title promotion, and an office from a cubicle to an office. Well, that's a big ask. But I made it happen. I really want upward mobility and want to retain my staff in ways that I can. And so I don't quite think it was warranted, but I did it. And 90 days later, this staff member asked for a raise again. And I was bewildered. I thought, are you like, is this a joke? I could not imagine that this was happening, and went back to the research. A promotion and change in income positively, you adhere to that happiness level for 90 days. It's real short. And so when we think about building workplace culture and improving items for employees, I'm like, yes, you should always raise salaries, especially for minorities and women, and equitable salary scales, like all day raise salaries, living wage for sure. But that's not going to create the solution for a great company culture. It's not the only thing that we can do and should do when we're looking at that. Okay, so I'm going to sound like a therapist here, but I want to talk about your parents. That could be good news or bad news for you, but let's talk about your parents, because where our happiness comes from. Now, 50% of your happiness comes from your DNA. That may be good news, that may be bad news. I've got one of each. I've got a negative dad, but I have, which I think has outweighed my genes, the happiest mother on the planet. Colleen is so joyful. It's slightly toxic positivity and annoying. You know those folks. I'm not one of them, I hope. The people that just see the world with different glasses. But what's beautiful about someone like that is that everyone wants to be around them. They get invited to everything. Everyone's their friend. They don't know a stranger. And you feel better when you're around someone with that positive energy. And that's my mom. So that might be one of the reasons why when I sat in that book club, I was happier than the other women around the table. Although when we think of circumstances, I may not have had the same things they had or achieved the same things that they had achieved. But when they talk about I'll be happy when, it was that circumstance. We're talking about the 10%. The circumstance. I'll be happy when I get a new job, when I get the house. Right? But marketers all the time, they market happiness. Purchase this product, buy our service, you will be happier. We've got the solution for you. Now, let's say they do, which I don't believe that they do. If that item you buy or circumstances you obtain, you will only increase your happiness 10%. That baseline happiness, our flat line, is only going to increase 10%. Now, many times we put all of our faith in that circumstance, but it's never as good as we thought it would be. Our enjoyment isn't sustained. We sometimes call it on the hedonic treadmill. So my husband was a runner. I'm not a runner. I am a really good hype girl. I make really funny signs for marathon runs. I like to pass out food and drinks and give high fives and wear costumes. That's my sweet spot. We all have a role to play and mine is not running long distance. But my husband found this group and they supported each other and they started running. Again, I still even said it with hesitation, like, why? He started doing half marathons. It's a lot of miles. It's a lot of time out of the house. And so I was excited to go to the finish line and cheer him on for this, what I hoped would be a one-time situation. And he crosses the finish line and he doesn't die. And I take a picture and I look at the picture and he's not happy. And I had been hearing for 6 months about how he'll be happy when he accomplishes this half marathon, when he finishes this race. And I look at the photo and he's not smiling. And I mean, how many runners are smiling? But I figured, like, you've crossed the finish line, you are really should be joyful. I don't know. I've never run a half marathon, but I just imagine those were my expectations, was a smile. And I said, okay, what's happening here? Are you okay? And he said, I want to be faster next time. I want to do longer distance. And I thought, okay, he's on this hedonic treadmill where we're putting our happiness on our circumstances. I've done it. Like, you fixate on something that you want. We had moved to Nashville 3 years ago and I wanted a new couch. I got the new couch. I didn't obtain the happiness that I thought I would. They sold me on it would change my life. It doesn't clean my house, so it didn't change my life. But how can we get off trying to assume that circumstances will make us happy? Well, what we can do are thoughts, actions, and behaviors. So thoughts, actions, and behaviors will actually boost our happiness. And that's 40%. That's all I can give you. I wish I could give you more, but the research shows that 40% is what we have control of, where we have power. And I think that's enough. If you're a parent and your kids eat 40% of the food on their plate, it's a win, right? We have to lower our expectations on what we consumed each night at dinner. So the most powerful thing we can do is control our thoughts. We have the ability to choose what goes in here, what we allow to come in here, and what we think about. We have the power to have a mindset shift. So I could have come into this presentation today with, I have to, or I get to. And there are days in which I sometimes have to fake it. I have a sick kid and I can say, I have to take them to the doctor, or I can choose to think differently and say, I get to. I have the privilege and honor of canceling my entire day, taking my kid to the doctor, but being grateful for what we have and choosing how we want to live our lives. Marie Forleo, the one I'm working on right now in mantras and telling ourselves it, says, I don't do overwhelm. And that's mine right now, because I can feel absolute overwhelm and like looking at the to-do list and the things on my plate be overwhelming. And her advice was just say, I don't do overwhelm. I can choose to be overwhelmed or not. And it takes some time, but that's my mantra I'm working on right now. If anyone has a mantra that works for you, that you let others borrow, drop it in the chat. I want to read some of your mantras. This is also fun for ChatGPT if ChatGPT knows you really well. When you're like, I'm a little tired, I'm fatigued, I don't know what my mantra should be. ChatGPT is really good at helping you create some mantras. Sally says, put your big girl pants on and deal. Never give up, never surrender. Wherever you go, there you are. Love that. Give yourself permission to slow down and give grace. No one is you and that's your power. Oh, I love it. Do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Yeah. You have the power to think how you want to feel. Breathe, it's not that serious. I could use that. I might use that one for a while. Yeah. Glow up era. So glow up. Yes. You're worth slowing down for. I got this. I am home. I often have to say, I am peace. Yeah. It works. It seems woo-woo. It is research-based that mantras work. Now, I'm going to sound like an infomercial, and I probably am. But you have the power to change your life in less than 1 minute a day for $0. And it probably sounds too good to be true, but I promise that it's not. Gratitude. It is the most studied intervention, proven to be the easiest way to happiness. So easy. Gratitude boosts the brain's neuroplasticity and reward system, sending endorphins when we think about what we're grateful for. So what I want you to do in the chat right now, tell me what you're grateful for. Health. Oh, yeah. Loved ones, your job, your fiance, WEN, absolutely. 4-year-old niece. Oh, 4-week-old niece. Yes. The tinies. This organization, the women in it, my family, the beautiful weather. I can point you to 100 studies that show the power of gratitude. The power of gratitude mindset has the power to shift you out of the negative and build resilience. So our brains were designed more for the caveman day where we were looking for harm. So 80% of our thoughts, without reprogramming, 80% of our thoughts are to seek out the negative. Now, you may know people you think 99% of their thoughts are seeking out the negative. And if it's my mom, it's 10%. But without work, that's what we're to look for. What could harm us? What is a challenge? What is a threat to us? But in modern day, it's the email, the phone call, the budget review, the sick kid, the traffic. And so we fixate on that. And we're trying to solve that problem. And let's be realistic. We can't solve it. I live in Nashville. Nashville traffic is a real thing. I can't solve that. So what I need to do is lower my expectations and develop a more gratitude mindset that I'm in this car. I am safe. I have the privilege of driving physically and financially. And I say that to myself when I'm frustrated in traffic. Now, I recommend a gratitude practice that you do every single day. A gratitude practice can be 3 things you're grateful for. If you want to write it down in a journal, if you want to put it on your calendar for the day, like here are the 3 things I was grateful for today. So when you're looking at the calendar and you scroll past, you can see the things you're grateful for. I love a gratitude buddy, someone that you say, okay, every day, we're going to text each other something we're grateful for. That accountability and connection with others is really fun. I had at one point gratitude jars throughout the house for everyone to tell each other how grateful they were. Although my expectations were that my jar would fill up really fast. It didn't. So then I was resentful. So we eliminated that. That process didn't work for us. Right now, my gratitude practice that I'm really enjoying is to take a photo of something every day that I'm grateful for. And so while they were doing introductions and sharing highlights from 2024, I took a photo of this Zoom because I'm grateful that I get to be here today. But it allows me to walk through the day and I'm looking as I'm meeting clients, might be in a new conference room and I like the artwork, or there's a fun flavor latte at a coffee shop and I take a picture because that's really fun. And so I'm honestly taking 10 to 20 photos a day of things that bring me joy. And at night, I look through them and get to reflect on my day and end my day with gratitude. I end my day with gratitude. And in the morning, I ensure that I set a mantra or a gratitude reflection before I consume. And by consuming, it's the social media, the emails, the being on someone else's agenda. Create before you consume. And so I create that mantra the day that I want to have. When we do this, and when we do it consistently, even just doing it today, you change the neuroplasticity in your brain. You would do it consistently, you will shift your brain to seek out what's good. And I'm telling you, less than a minute a day, and it's free and easy. So that's the quickest and easiest way to happiness. Now, let me tell you, on the opposite spectrum, we have the deepest levels of happiness. Now, I didn't say easiest because relationships are the deepest levels of happiness, but not the easiest. So the longest running happiness study is through the University of Harvard, and it's called the Adult Happiness Scale. And I believe there are 86 years in running. And what they've done is they've studied individuals from early adulthood, when they start undergrad, to end of life. And they are studying them consistently. They have their DNA. They're looking at their circumstances throughout life and testing their happiness scale. The most prolific research has come when we're able to track health metrics with happiness metrics over a long time. This study is remarkable. I highly encourage you to engage in it. My favorite point of this study is they found that individuals with healthy marriages at the age of 50, or those who had a relationship that's like a marriage, that is so connected, trusting, someone who's there for you every day, it's consistent. Those with the healthiest marriages at the age of 50 had the highest health rates at the age of 80. Isolation does horrendous things to our health and our body. Isolation is an epidemic. We isolated during COVID, and many of us never came out from it. Our new work cultures and remote styles isolates us more and more. And some of our younger generations aren't shown and role modeled how to engage with others for meaningful relationships. And it scares me, right? Like, how can we invest more in our relationships? So I'd love to know in the chat, I'm like, who is guilty of not prioritizing your relationships? Because I know that my friends sometimes go to the bottom of the list. Those who fill me up. Anyone else that think you like, I'm telling you this and you're thinking, yes, I need to spend more time on relationships. Yeah, Kayla says guilty. Yeah, we are guilty. Doing better at this. I love it. And a lot of times that's a New Year's resolution. But they say happy wife, happy life. But Harvard will tell us that happy wife or husband is a longer life. Those at the age of 80 have better health outcomes and have a longer lifespan. This is incredible. So when people think like, Elle, you're a happiness researcher, that's cute. I'm like, no, this is creating healthier communities. This sort of work is so prolific. And yet the interventions and things I'm sharing to you aren't something you don't know. You know you should invest more time in your relationships. But hopefully I'm the little reminder to do it, to kick you and say, hey, schedule that happy hour with a friend, FaceTime her or him, connect with those who fill us joy. And I'm all about boundaries. So those who drain us and who consume our time and energy, cut them out. Remove, eliminate. I'll write you a permission slip if you need to break up with someone or eliminate their toxicity on you. But this is hard. I'm ever working on relationships. They're complicated. They're messy. It's not the easiest, but it's worth every second of intervention and investment. And with relationships, it's quality over quantity. You could have 2 people in your life who you trust, are in deep, loving relationships with. That's more important than 50 peers and friends that you know casually. The ability to be vulnerable with someone and honest is rare and special, and it's good for your health. Relationships reduce our stress. One study, they did a stress test, and they took a sample of individuals and spread them out by level of stress in their jobs, and found that some of the highest stress levels were nurses and caretakers. When you are constantly caretaking for someone. So they took on their arm, they took a little piece of skin out the size of an eraser. Some people might not think that's scary. That still horrifies me to think like you're cutting out my skin. But what they then did is they tracked how long it took them to heal. And those with the higher stress jobs, specifically nurses and caretakers, took 3 times longer to heal. That's wild what stress does to our bodies. Now, I want you to focus on a gratitude mindset. I want you to invest in relationships. But sometimes it's not always that easy. Because what gets in the way, a lot of times, is depression and anxiety. Depression has us stuck in the past, reliving past experiences. And anxiety has us catapulted into the future, fearful of things that could and may not happen. When we think about expectations and those negative events, we have outsized anxiety. Yeah. So what we also know is that those who can tap into the present, those who can be mindful and presently connected, have higher happiness levels. And this is where I scare myself. It may have scared you. I'm like, I can work on gratitude. I can work on relationships. But I think, how can I, Elle Benson, become present? I try mindfulness activities. I've tried meditation. I know the power and science of meditation. I believe in it. Let me tell you, that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I do, and I'm going to continue to try. If anyone has great mindfulness and meditation secrets, drop them in the chat. We all could use them. But this is where my brain starts going. I'm saying, I'm sure I'm not alone that thinks meditation is hard, but I want to be able to connect to the here and now. I want to be able to alleviate all of the thoughts and all the tabs open in my head. How do I do that? And so I started thinking about the actions that make us happy. And so I want to do a quiz now. I want to know, are you an overplanner? Are you someone that overplans? If you're going to go on vacation, do you have every minute organized? Have you read reviews of the restaurants? Do you know where you're parking and what the fee is? Who are the overplanners? I'm getting mixed. I'm getting a lot. Kayla says, is that not normal? Yeah. With the access of technology, we've become super intensive about planning our days. Okay, depends on the context. I've learned my lesson. I still overpack though. I'm an overpacker as well. But there's an action that you can take besides meditation and traditional mindfulness to become more aware. And so as this is where I start to develop my own research project, going, okay, how can I do this? And what's missing in the research? Because I look for what research exists and how can I connect that and give solutions for others. And I truly felt like I don't have the solution for being present for others other than meditation, which can be frustrating and has its own stigma and associations. So I began my research. 16 months ago, I vowed to try something new every single day. That's right. I have done over 725 novel experiences. You know, I'm having a lot of fun. They're big, they're small. And I track everything. I thought it'd be a 1-year project. Let me just try this for 1 year. And I didn't stop. And I don't plan on stopping. Within my research, I track, am I solo? Am I alone? Am I with solo and alone, or am I with peers? Am I with my family? Who am I with? I track, is it professional or personal? I look at my happiness score after each intervention. I give it a scale 1 to 10. There are times I have 2s and 3s, but there are few times I have 10, and that bar is getting really high. Am I an active participant or passive? What was the cost? And I have it in a couple different scales. Was it over $150? Less than $25? Like where are we? And how long did it take? And I want you to know that 65% of my experiences have taken less than an hour. People think like, okay, Elle, you must have a lot of time on your hand. No, I don't. What I do is if it's a birthday or anniversary, or once you have kids' schedules, you're gone for spring break. Those are times in which I try and plan and curate fun adventures, getting out of the city, trying a new community or culture. But I can't do that every day. So my weekends are spent with, can I take my family to a new restaurant? My kids always look for a new ice cream shop, a new park, a new greenway. How can we explore our city better on weekends? And then the Monday through Friday, how can I interweave something novel into my current schedule? I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner. I travel across the country, and my kids each have 3 extracurriculars. So novelty is not my top priority, but how can I if I'm requesting a meeting, choose a new location? Can I try something new at the restaurant I've already been to? Can I consume different types of content than what I'm typically used to? And it becomes easier and easier the more you do it. I've learned incredible things. I've learned that I'm more adaptable. I engage with others in a new way. I seek out new information. And that active participation increases my happiness. I was doing a keynote presentation at a college campus, and after the presentation, the dean of students came up to me and said, "Do you want to try something novel?" Well, on brand, I have to say yes. He walked me over to the new Student Union Center, and inside there was this swivel slide going from one floor to the other, giving students no excuse to be late in between classes. And this 80-year-old gentleman said he was going down first. And I watched him twirl down that slide with pure delight. And he said, "Are you going next?" And I could say, this is a novel experience. Seeing you do this and seeing this is pretty cool. Like I can check my box for the day. But I, at this point, knew if I engage in, it's going to be a different happiness level. So heels and dress and all, I went down the slide. It was such fun. I hadn't done something like that in many years, especially not in a professional setting. It changed the context of the conversation and honestly took less than 15 minutes. In many cases, it's driving a new route to school, to work, taking a different destination or route, going on a new walk, something that's good for you. I've also learned that vitamin D really boosts my happiness, and that vitamin D will get you every time. It's really good for you. But then this research this is on Elle Benson. I am unique. We all are unique. I don't know that everyone would do what I would do. So I created research to research others. So about a year ago, just over a year ago, launched my first novelty labs. I sometimes call them happiness labs. Novelty, I thought would be quirky and get people in, but it scared people away. So sometimes we call them happiness labs, but the ability to try something new. So what I do with this research project, Belmont University here in Nashville is my research arm. They're an independent research firm evaluating my interventions, but I ask you to come. So I would say, "Hey, Sally, next week, I want you to come to a happiness lab." And you say, "Okay, Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. That sounds great." And you say, "Where are we going to go?" And I say, "I can't tell you that." You say, "Who are you going to be with?" I can't tell you that. And you say, "What are we going to do?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking so many questions? I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do." So if you say yes, you're brave. I love it. But you're reducing expectations. So I've had over 100 individuals who've said yes to adventure. They know that these events are designed and curated to boost happiness, But the most beautiful thing is, and it's such a gift, it's something we don't get to do most days, is that we show up without expectations. It's amazing. Those who, I've got one at the end of this month in Denver, Colorado. And then I've got one more public one coming up in June. Here in Tennessee next month, I'm running the entire Department of Children's Services, 600 burnt out, overworked government employees through Novelty Labs. And we'll see, based on research, of what this does to their joy. Because my hypothesis is when you show up without expectations, when you engage in something actively, when you try something new and different, it evokes a lot of great benefits. Now, the research is still coming in. It's absolutely positive so far. But what I'm hearing from others is, I would have never signed up for this. I can't imagine that we got to do something like this. My Novelty Labs have included, as you see here, we've got coffee cupping, and then we made latte art. We got behind the bar, pretended to be a barista, and made our best swans. None of them looked like a swan, but we got close, and it was fun to try something new. We also here are making calzones at a dairy farm where they just had baby cows, and we got to engage with the baby cows and learn how ice cream is made. We made delicious traditional malts and milkshakes out of the machine, fresh from the farm. What brings happiness other than ice cream, right? We've volunteered with nonprofits. Here we are at Second Harvest Food Bank. We've done art classes. Last weekend we did bird watching, but you really are supposed to call it birding if you're cool. The art of watching birds, birding. I learned a lot, but it gets people out of their head and gets them mindful and present. It strengthens relationships. There is a research piece that I find really funny that I share with others. It's from an online dating site that did research on what gives people second dates. You wouldn't think that this relates, but it does. They found out that if two people went on a date where they were both, they'd both never tried it before. They're both novices, like amateurs at this. So say they're both going to putt-putt and they've never done putt-putt before. The vulnerability to show up with someone that you're kind of trying to impress and you care about, to say, I don't know what I'm doing, and you say, I don't either, let's do this together, is the highest predictor of a second date. If one person on the date comes in as the expert and the other is to learn from them, you're not at the same footing. It's not equal. It builds relationships. It's incredible. In the chat, I'm eager to know who would say yes to this. Who would say, oh, I'm up for a Novelty Lab. I'm willing to just show up. Okay, these are my people. Yes. Thank you. Oh, these are great people. So fun. The ability to say yes without knowing what you're going to do. And our things are harmless. They're fun. They support small businesses and nonprofits. Come to Dallas. I love Dallas. Come to Dallas anytime. Absolutely. So what does it do? And why is it working? Like why? Well, what we know is that novelty activates the brain's attention span, BAS. It's like you've got this superpower in your brain that eliminates all of the other distractions and focuses a light on the stage. What's happening? Because inside our brains, we're going, okay, this is new. Is this okay? Is this allowed? Like, let's focus all our resources on what's happening so we can encode and be alert. Well, it's great because it allows us to pay attention. This is why it's working for Elle Benson. My BAS is turned on. Our novel experiences go into long-term memory in a different way. It allows us to have more emotions, and emotions connect to our memory. It gets us out of autopilot. It interrupts our cycles, and we pay attention. This is a photo of my kids at the beach last week. It was last summer. First time I'd ever taken them to the beach. I'm not a real beach person because that involves like sitting there a lot. And Elle likes more like New York City. I like to go. But I can tell you everything I did with my children at that beach, because it was different. Every meal we ate was in a different place rather than sitting at my dining table. And that week retains more memories than any other week from last year. It's a great way to build family memories. But it's also helpful because novelty engages the dopamine system. And I'm probably a little hooked on dopamine right now with all of my novel experiences that I get to do. I do love animals and anything that I love. The problem is, I don't know if any of you do it, but when you're watching a show on the TV and a commercial comes up, like, we are so programmed to be annoyed and we're not getting what we need. So we immediately pick up our phone and scroll. I mean, I've done it when I'm a passenger at a red light. I'm like, oh, okay. Do I need my phone? That's our nervous system seeking dopamine, wanting to be in control and in charge of what we're consuming and engaging in. But by trying novelty, we get a more positive hit. Our brains need new information to show we're evolving and adapting. And what's wrong with our smartphones is that it's trying to trigger us to say, you are a smart, adapting human. But I know when I'm scrolling Instagram, I'm not evolving as a human. I'm not. I need to engage in person. So what you're seeing here is goat yoga. 10 out of 10 recommend. I absolutely love it. But what I found is that doing unique things encourages me to continue to do unique things. I also laugh at this photo because she said at the beginning, the yoga instructor, like, you get a souvenir. And I was like, great, I love a t-shirt, love a swag bag. And at the end, I was like, well, where's like our souvenir? Like, I'm ready for my cute new water bottle or whatever they're going to give me. And she's like, oh, you already have it. I was real confused. It didn't make sense until the next day. I was hopping in the shower and I saw on my back, I had a bunch of bruises. That was my souvenir from the yoga. But novelty allows us to be more adaptable and resilient. Because I program my week and things happen. On Sunday, my husband was playing with my son and tweaked his knee. This is what happens when you're over 40. And there went my Monday, MRIs and doctor visits. But I'm resilient to change and I adapt quicker and more easier because I have this mindset of, okay, we're going to shift. What are we going to do now? How are we going to be grateful for what it has? Hey, it was only one knee, still have the other. Like, I bring humor into this situation. How can we embrace change? And I think in every workplace that I'm in, we need employees and a company culture that embraces change. I want that to be an organizational value and something that we support and acknowledge. Let's think differently. I want more of that. What I also love is that novelty slows down time perception. So I say it's almost like giving you the gift of time because, man, if I could gift that to you, I would give you all the time I possibly could. But as we age, we have fewer firsts. You know, you're like, oh, I've done that before. I've seen that. I've heard of that. Fewer firsts. And those first times are what encoded into longer term memory. We fall deeper into patterns and preferences. And when immersed, more mental resources and more details, we perceive time differently. As a kid, you may have thought like summer was endless. And now as adults, it flies by. Well, it depends on if your kids are at home or not. It may seem really hard. But when I host friends, when they come over, there's a theme or an activity because I know I'm giving them the gift of remembering this moment if we do something a little different. So when you're investing in your relationships, which you are going to do after this, how can you find a new game, a new activity, a new location, a new way of conversing, something new? They'll remember that engagement differently. My family has become really used to what I do. We do a lot of board games and fun activities that we can find for free that are easy and fun. And we encode, and I want my kids to remember everything about their childhood, knowing they won't remember it all, but the more unique and different, they'll retain that better. This is a photo of my daughter at Girl Scout camp. It was so much fun going to Girl Scout camp with her one night. She didn't make it through the whole night. She got scared. We ended up going home. But time stood still. Now, back in my 20s, I had leisure time. Remember, I've mentioned that. So my husband and I were in this co-ed softball league. I think now would be like more pickleball and kickball, but we played softball together, something to do with friends. And we had this understanding and clear expectations that we would be out in the outfield together and that I was not capable of catching a ball. So if it came anywhere on my section, my husband would get right in front of me and catch the ball. Like that, we had a good understanding and we're happy about this. But at one point in time, he had to work and he couldn't show up. So someone else was put in the outfield with me. We did not have time to communicate our expectations and what was happening here. And a ball was coming right towards me. This really big guy came up to the plate and he hit it right in the outfield. I think he sensed my fear. Well, like basically a 5-year-old playing t-ball. I closed my eyes and stuck my glove up in the air and it landed in my glove. I can't even say I caught it. I did not catch it. It landed in my glove. That moment plays on slow-mo for me because it was the only time in 4 seasons I ever caught a ball. That's how bad I am at sports. The funnier part is that everyone on my team ran at me like we had won the World Series, cheering and hollering, losing their minds. And the other team was real confused because this was the second inning of an unimportant game. It's my highlight, my VIP moment. I thought I would share that with y'all because you all have those moments of a first where time stood still. And it's such a gift. So how can you curate more of those in your life? Novelty also enhances emotional connection and emotional intelligence. The best leaders have a high EI, and we obtain more emotional awareness and intelligence because it's scary to try something new. You can be excited and nervous at the same time. The uncertainty allows us to experience emotions in real time and process them in a safe environment, like a novelty lab. Now, I'm not allowed to research children under the age of 18. There were restrictions around my research project, but my daughter's a case study. When I told her that I was doing something novel every single day, I got the 8-year-old eye roll. That's ridiculous, Mom. My daughter has always been highly anxious and nervous, my introvert. We've worked on this. It's a continuous battle, but I ignored her eye roll. I would share with her every day, here's the things I've done. And slowly over time, she started to see the joy that it brought to me. She then started asking me what I've done novel each day. Can you imagine kids asking you about your day? It started happening. She then started asking, can I do something novel too? And my kids are fully ingrained in the work that I do now. They say, okay, for dinner, how can we change this up? My daughter's been a picky eater her entire life. Novelty has transformed her. I bring her to things I can, including the ice cream lab. That's a baby cow she got to name. Her name is Lila, everyone. That's a 3-week-old baby cow. Maybe 3 days. I'm not a cow expert. Anyways, baby cow. And it's transformative. It's transformed my life and it's transformed her confidence. She would never talk to strangers out and about and was nervous anytime we were going somewhere else. And we're talking over a year later where she's going, okay, talking people up at the grocery store, making new friends at the park. And let me tell you how excited I am that there's tacos and hamburgers on the menu. She will eat a taco. This case study is amazing. Beyond emotional awareness and connection, novelty strengthens relationships. We know the deepest levels of happiness come from relationships. When we're able to engage in shared experiences, we have the highest levels of satisfaction, of workplace culture, of friendships, decreased isolation. No, I didn't know the power of this and what I was doing when 10 years ago, my husband and I decided to start going on surprise anniversary trips. People go, that is such a beautiful gift. Well, it came from the annoyance of group vacation planning. I don't know, where do you want to go? I don't know where you want to go. So we decided to divide and conquer. So every year, one person plans and the other person finds out at the airport. Now, my overpackers in the chat, I see you, I hear you. I get a lot of questions on how I pack because I will find out where I'm going when my suitcase is already packed. I pack one bag for like city that's like comfortable yet cute. I'll pack like a beach trip, which involves a lot of activities because I'm not good at sitting. And then I'll pack like an outdoor camping trip. I also have a little divorce note there because I'm clear on my expectations that Elle doesn't camp. There needs to be a bathroom. And I set that boundary clear so everyone can be happy. We've been doing this for over 10 years and it's been so valuable to our connection and to our family to be able to try new things together. Let me be honest that my husband is a 180 for me. He's an introvert to the extreme, yet this has also transformed the way he engages and how we engage as a family. You know, people think I'm doing novel things all day, every day. I'm not. I wish I had more time for novelty, more funds and support. I work in the nonprofit sector. I'll take what I can get. I want you to balance your novelty with routine. Novelty and routine are like peanut butter and jelly. They go really well together. Having a stable routine gives us a sense of control. Routines reduce our stress, the predictability, allows us to have safe disruption. When we have stability and safety, we can disrupt, we can change things here and there. Allow yourself the routine. And I have some non-negotiables in my routine. I love my workout playlist. It's full of Janet Jackson and all sorts of 90s music, and I don't want to change it, and I don't have to. It is comforting when I press play and Dolly Parton sings 9 to 5. So I want to know what in your routine brings you happiness and emotional safety. What do you enjoy and look forward to in your routine? I'm seeing in the chat that you guys like a good theme. Yeah, a party, we need to have a theme. Oatmeal lavender lattes. Oh, I love oat milk. Oh, it's good protein too. A bedtime, well, no, we could do a whole session. Ariana Huffington's entire book, Thrive, I thought was going to be a women's leadership book. It's a book on sleep, like how important sleep is in your sleep routine. Absolutely love it. Podcast in your morning commute, walk in the garden, bedtime routine with like toddlers need routine. They get so much complexity in what's happening. A routine stables everyone emotionally. Crocheting. Oh, I love that. The hands-on, the dog quality control, taking off makeup and skincare. Yes, I love the symbolism of that for sure. Workout time. Oh, I love my workout time. It sometimes falls to the end, but it's a beautiful thing. So how can you, while maintaining your routine, shift it slightly? How can you choose something different each day? Because I believe that you can. And I want you to spark happiness. I want you to seek out fun things. I want you to play, be playful, have fun. I want you to act, make it a priority. And I want you to reflect. By me reflecting on my past novel experiences has allowed me to learn new things about myself. I didn't know that outdoor activities would make me so happy. I knew and have confirmed that physical activity and creative activities bring me joy. I thought being by myself would bring me the most joy because it's so rare. No, it was the bottom. It was friends, then family, then coworkers, then myself. That was surprising. So being open-minded to learning that something else might make you happy. The birding event we did over the weekend, I forced my husband to go without telling him what it was. And man, I think he found his new hobby. Like birding might be his thing. I think it's a lot safer than running. So I support this hobby. But the 2026 WEN conferences are an incredible opportunity to be grateful for the opportunity to learn, to obtain new information, meet new people, visit a new city. I mean, it's full of all of research-based activities to boost your happiness. I absolutely love it. So as we look to close out here, I want to know from everyone in this room, if you can share something that you'll try new, that you're like, oh, I've been on that list. I've been curious about that. I'm interested in learning more, or it would be fun to try. What's something that you think you could do? Pickleball. I haven't tried pickleball either. Learn ChatGPT, try a new restaurant I've been eyeing. I have a running list. Mahjong. Oh my gosh. I want so bad. Puppy yoga, the conference, Toastmaster speaking, plan a vacation by yourself. Oh, you need to do all of these things. Learn to golf. Yes. Oh, this is so fun. Clean out my closet. If that brings you joy, you clean out that closet. You can come do mine too. A sound bath. For the Department of Children's Services, I get to do a sound bath, crepe making, apothecary, a silent disco. I am so excited about that. We're doing glass painting, we're doing improv, we're doing bonsai trees, and they get to take the bonsai tree home. Super cool. Phenomenal thing. So there's like 10 doors and they pick your adventure. It feels like a game show, like 1 through 10, and that's your activity. Pottery. Oh, I love this. This is fantastic. Now, you said things you want to try. I challenge you to make it happen. Can you? Yeah, learn how to deal with me going through menopause is real too. I'm like, knowledge is power. I love all that. Like, this has really resonated with this group. It's amazing, but it's so interconnected to our health and happiness and well-being. And when we're happier and aligned, we can help others. I mean, it's all connected. Okay. I am so joyful that I was able to connect with this incredible group. I challenge you to try something new, to evoke a gratitude mindset, to connect with relationships, and lean on this group for sharing your happiness and new ideas. Share with them. Say, hey, I tried this. This was fun. Here's what I learned from it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.